Hi friends, I'm Abby and welcome back to my channel. Today I am doing my series roundup for 2023. So I feel like this might be a bit of a long one, so take a seat. I've had to prepare myself a little bit to get into filming this, so we are ready. And I've had to ransack my shelves a bit, and now I am surrounded by series and books. It makes it feel a lot more daunting now that I can see how many series I'm in the middle of in front of me. I was like, the numbers don't seem that bad, but now I've got the books around me, I'm like, their numbers are like, there's a lot of books here. There's a lot of books. What we're going to cover in today's video is I'm going to talk through the series that I've finished in 2023, so everything that I've wrapped up, completed, done. I'm going to talk about the series that I've decided to stop, pause, not continue with, that are no longer in my priorities. I'm going to talk about the series that I am up to date in. Some of these I was up to date in last year and they haven't really changed. Some of these are new to this up to date list. And I will talk about my ongoing series and the series that I am in the middle of, and it is completely my fault. And I could either finish the series or I could get up to date in it by just reading some more of the books. And then I will tally up all the numbers of my ongoing series at the end and let you know exactly what this all means. So we'll start off with some positives in the series that I have finished in 2023. I feel as though I had a bit of a slow start in 2023, that I wasn't finishing that many series to begin with. I was starting lots of series in the first half of the year, and then I was like, we're going to need to get our act together and actually do some finishing here, which I have done, and I've done quite well. As we moved into the second half of the year, I was like, yes, let's finish these things off. In total, I have finished 9 series this year. I was aiming for 10, but I don't think that 10th is going to happen. No, I was aiming to finish the Skyward series, but I still have the 3rd novella and Defiant to read, so I don't think it's quite going to happen. I have a week left of 2023 as I'm filming this, but I feel like I'm going to get the novella read and then Defiant will be in 2024. It's just, I don't want to pressurise myself. So we have finished 9. I don't know who the collective we is, but I have finished 9 series in 2023. So very close to 10, but not quite. Still, it is a good number. So of these 9, I will just start piling them up on my lap, I think. I started and read the whole of the Prison Healer series by Lynette Noni. I don't know when to talk about the plots of these because I will just be here for a year and a day. So yeah, the Prison Healer by Lynette Noni, read all 3 books this year. The Once Upon a Broken Heart series by Stephanie Garber, I just read the final book this year, as having previously read the first 2. The Last Hours series by Cassandra Clare, I reread the first book and then continued and read the second and third book for the first time. I read all of the First Law trilogy. I haven't read any of the rest of the extended universe yet, but I have read all of the original First Law trilogy by Joe Abercrombie. I read the second 2 books in the Ninth Reign trilogy. I've read this one in December of last year, so it was at the very end of 2022, and then I have just continued with this one this year. The Drowning Empire series by Andrea Stewart. This, I just read the 3rd and final book, The Bone Shovel. Finally, I read it. I did read it after it sat on many a TBR pretty much all year. I read The Bone Shovel. I reread the first 2 books in The Mask of Mirrors and then finished off by reading The Labyrinth's Heart, the 3rd and final book, which came out this year. I mostly read the Blood Trials and the Blood Gift. So the Blood Gift I gave up with 75 pages left because I went on holiday, I didn't take the book with me, and then I just couldn't be bothered to finish it. But I'm pretty much saying I finished this series because I had such a small amount left of that second book. I don't quite class it as the same as the DNF, where I DNF'd 100 pages in, or I'm DNFing the series because I'm not fussed with continuing on with it. I feel as though I pretty much finished this because I was so close to the end, but technically I didn't, but I'm putting it here. And then I think this was actually my first series that I finished in 2023, and that was the Mistborn Era 2. I reread the first 2 books, and then, is that right? I reread the first book. I finished the second book, which I'd had ongoing for a very, very long time. Was this last year? When did I do this? That was last year that I did my rereads for Mistborn Era 2. That was in 2022, not 2023. But anyway, in 2023, I read The Lost Metal, the 4th and final book in Mistborn Era 2, although we know that there's going to be a lot more books in this world because it's the Cosmere. So I did do that. And those are all of the series that I finished in 2023. So these 9 series were all finished this year, all wrapped up, all done and dusted. I feel like most of these I'd actually started before 2023. Oh yeah, so only a third of these, 3 of them, I started and read the whole thing this year. The other 6 books or 6 series that I finished, I started prior to this year, and they were just finished off this year because like the final book came out this year, and that was what I was waiting on to finish them. And so I actually didn't read that many series through from like beginning to end, which maybe I should be doing better at. I should be getting better at picking up series that are complete and then reading them through, potentially, because I only did that with 3. I only really felt like I did that with like The Prison Healer, where I like picked up book 1, the next month I did 2, the next month I did 3. I mean, I guess I did that with The First Law as well, but like I feel like I should do better at picking up a trilogy and reading that trilogy through, instead of reading incomplete series. But yeah, very happy to have got 6 series that I had, I guess, on my ongoing list last year, or my up-to-date but waiting on last year, off of my ongoing series. So that is the first pile. The second pile does not exist physically, and that is a series that I have DNF'd, that I won't be finishing. So some of these I read the first book in this year, decided that I wasn't going to continue on after just having read that first book. Some of these I read a few years ago, and decided now that it's not stuck with me and I'm better off moving on. Some of them I've read multiple books in the series, and now I've decided that I'm just not going to continue on with it. So there's multiple different like reasons for this, but overall I've decided that my time is better invested in other series. There are so many series and books in the world, and I need to prioritise. Of the ones where I just read like the first book and decided that was it, I have the Alamaxa, The Daughters of Izdihar was the first book, and it was fine. I think I gave it like 3.5 stars, but I don't feel the need to continue. I'd probably continue to read something else by that author. I actually have a review of it, but I don't think I'm going to read book 2. In the same vein, I have One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. I did not like that book. That was a disappointing book. I really wished I liked it. It was disappointing, so will not be reading book 2. And the same with A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross. Another one that I really wanted to like. And again, it was fine. Like, and I don't think I didn't hate these books. They were just fine. They were just like 3-star books, and so I don't feel the need to read book 2. Even though I think those are all duologies, so it wouldn't take much for me to read that second book, but prioritizing. Ones where I read multiple books in the series, the From Blood and Ash series by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I kept going, and I read book 4, the War of Two Queens this year, and I feel like I'm done. I'm just done. Like, it had so much like hope. It had so much like potential, that's the word, because I love so many elements of those books. Like, some of it is so good, but they're just too bloated. No more. I was reading the Psy Changeling series at the beginning of the year. I did find they got quite repetitive. That one's by Nalini Singh. It got a bit too repetitive for me, I would say. That they were all quite samey. Moving on from that one. One that's like I'm a bit more on the fence about is The Beautiful by Renee Ahdieh. So I read The Beautiful and The Damned. I think the 4th book might have come out like very recently, but I just feel as though I've lost interest in it. That I haven't been so fussed about continuing in that series now that it's been so long since I read the first 2 that I would have to reread. Do I want to reread? I don't think so. But it's less of a strong, it just feels as though that's an interest waning type one, and not I've actively read a book in this series and been very disappointed in it. So those are the series that I am giving up on, which is 6. So I feel like that's quite good, that most of the series that I'm picking up I'm enjoying, and I'm not having to like give up on that many things. So now moving into the meaty section of this series check-in, update, roundup. That's what we're calling it, a roundup. So I have my up-to-date series where it is not my fault that I have not finished them, that I am waiting for books in those series to come out. Some of these have been on this list for a little while, but some of them are new. First, top of the pile, I have the Justice of Kings, or what is this series called? The Empire of the Wolf. So I have read the first 2 books, and I'm waiting for the 3rd and final book in this trilogy to come out, and that will be in, I think it's February the 3rd one comes out, and then once I read that, the series will be complete. So it'll be on my list of series that I will complete in 2024. I also have The Shadow of the Gods. I've read the first and the second book. I'm awaiting the third book. I think this one's also coming out in 2024. I was having a look online and it does have like a release date in the second half of 2024, which I'm very excited about. I may like reread these to get to that, but yes, I am currently up to date on this series. John Gwynne's like a favourite author for me. I love his books and I completely understand, considering some personal circumstances, why I've had to wait longer for the third book in this series to release, but yes, very excited for it. I am up to date on the Amina al-Sirafi series. I don't know when the next book in this series is coming out, but currently it's just the first book's out. I haven't checked if there's a release date for the second one. I haven't heard any news. I haven't heard news. If you've got news, please tell me so I can like prepare myself, but so far I'm up to date having read just the first one. I am up to date in the Fourth Wing series. I've read books 1 and 2, Iron Flame, and I am up to date and waiting for the third one. I'm not sure, is the third one coming out at the end of next year or is it like beginning of 2025? Have I made that up? I don't know. But for right now, I am up to date on this series. Continuing in the little like fantasy romance section, I guess, I'm up to date on the Chronicles of Nyaxia series. I read the core duology, I've read the novella, I've read the like spin-off standalone. So I am up to date and waiting for the next like duology, as this is meant to be like a series of duologies or everything set in the same world following separate characters. But so far I am up to date on this. I am up to date on both of Sarah J Maas's series. I'll just put them here. I am up to date on the A Court of Thorns and Roses series, which I've been up to date on it for a little while. I think this was on last year's up to date series list, so up to date on this one. And I'm also up to date on Crescent City, where the third and I believe its final book is coming out at the end of January. Up to date on In the SJM World Universe. And the final one that I'm up to date on, and I've been up to date on it for a very long time, and I don't think there's been any news on when any sequels are going to be coming out, is The Arithmetist by Brandon Sanderson, which I really loved this book. I really enjoyed it, and there's been no news, and I don't know when. I need to actually read The Year of Sanderson, or whatever it's called, Sanderson, The Year of Sanderson, see if there is any news on it. That I would like a sequel to this, but I know Brandon Sanderson is very busy writing all of his other books, so it's fine. I'll just keep it here for now. I guess we'll see. Like, I had a Game of Thrones my up-to-date series list for so many years, and then I was just like, am I ever going to continue with this? And so I just moved it to DNF, because I don't think I will ever continue that series now, because I've been up to date on it since like 2013. So these are my, oh wait. I guess technically, if you think about release dates, I'm up to date in the Emily Wilde series by Heather Fawcett. I read this one in 2023, and technically I'm up to date because the sequel doesn't come out until the 18th of January 2024, but Orbit has sent me an early copy, so I do have the sequel to read. So I don't quite know where to put this one. Like, technically I'm up to date, but I'm not, because I already have the sequel. So sort of up to date, sort of not up to date. But I plan to read the sequel this week, so it's going to go back onto the up to date very, very quickly. So that is my up to date series. Oh dear, Justice of Kings is the wrong way round, but we'll ignore that and pretend it's not. And these are my up-to-date series. And I don't think I'm going to be able to do this with my ongoing series because the pile's too big, but I could lift up that one. So that is 10 series I'm up to date on and waiting for the author to write the next book, and 4 of those I started in 2023. So quite a few of these I have been up to date on, and I've been up to date on them since last year, or if a sequel has come out, I've read that sequel. And now we're moving into the biggest pile, my ongoing series. It's so big, I split it into 2 piles. So yes, this is the meaty pile. Okay, in this pile I have the Forgetting Moon, the 548 Angels series by Brian Lee Durfee. I really wanted to have this series finished this year, but it's not in the right pile. I haven't. In this, I have read the first 2 books. I have the 3rd book to read, but I am rereading the series. So I reread the first book, I need to reread the second book, and then I can get to the third book. I've just been in a bit of an epic fantasy slump this year, and so it hasn't happened. It's felt like a lot of effort to read the really long epic fantasy books this year. I don't know where that mood is. Like, I read Oathbringer through like all of December 2022 and finished it at the very beginning of 2023, and I feel like that burnt me out completely on epic long fantasy books because it took me like 3 weeks to read. And I feel as though I've not been in that like epic fantasy mood all year. I don't know where it is. I've lost it because that is normally my mood. But my mood has been on the much more like lighter fantasy romance, smaller books this year. Obviously, I've read a few chunky ones, but I don't feel like I've read anywhere near as many as I previously read. Like last year, I read all of like The Grace of Kings and all of the Dandelion Dynasty, and those are chunky books. Where are my chunky books been this year? The brain has not been wanting them. But anyway, I hopefully will have this series finished in 2024, and I will read the second and third book. Another one that I had hoped to have finished by the end of the year, but it's not going to happen, I don't think, is the Skyward series by Brandon Sanderson. I have just Eversure, the third novella, and Defiant to read. So not much. It will be finished, I think, quite early in 2024, but it's just not quite done yet. So very, very close to finishing this one. I have The Jasmine Throne by Tasha Suri, or I think this has another name, the Burning Kingdoms series. I read the first book this year. The sequel is out, and I think the third book is coming out in the summer or at some point later on in 2024. So I do at some point just need to get to the sequel, and then I'll be ready for that third book's release. I think I was like just not feeling the pressure, not feeling the need to read that sequel quickly because I knew that the third book didn't have a release date. In my head, when I picked this up, I thought the third book was coming out in 2023, and then I realised that it wasn't. So then I slowed down with reading this one. This one, I'm assuming I'll have it done. I'll have it done in 2024. A lot of these I think will be done in 2024. Like, Abby is going to magically like read everything in 2024. I have read The Final Strife by Zara El Arifi. I've just read this first book. I read it in November. I adored it. I loved this one. So I have the Battle Drum, the sequel, to read, and then the third and final book again comes out I think in the summer. So I would then be finished with it as well in 2024. I do really want to read the Battle Drum. I'm just trying to pace myself so that I don't have too big of a gap between books 2 and 3. Like, I want to try and get, put it in the middle, in between. So like February, March time, maybe I'd read that sequel and then I'd get to the third book when it comes out. Logic here, there's logic. The Blood Mercy series. So I read the first 2 books this year. I've been planning to read the third book for ages. I just haven't. It's one of the few ones that I have not managed to get to. I've put it on a few TBRs and I was doing really well at getting through like my series. As you saw, I got through quite a lot in the second half, but I haven't got to the third book. This is like a long series. There's lots of books in it. So even if I read that third book, I'm not going to be finished. I think there's like a good, 5 more books out that I have to read. A long way to go with this one. In the short-term plans, I just need to read book 3. The Fate of Wrath and Flame series by K.A. Tucker. I've read the first 2 books. I very recently, as of last night, I finished the second book. So I've read the first 2 books. The third book is out, and the fourth and final book comes out in the summer again, I think. This one, again, I would hope to finish in 2024. I just, again, need to space out reading that third book. That is the plan with this one as well, but making progress on it. I've got, I guess, the run of the fantasy romances at the moment, but the Guild series, the Plated Prisoner series by Raven Kennedy. I have read the first 4 books. Yes, 4 books. The 5th book, which came out in December, was meant to be like the finale, but now it's not. Now there is a 6th book coming out in the summer of next year. So I just need to read books 5 and 6. I'm waiting for book 5 to go into paperback, which is what I had to do for book 4. And then it's going to be the same again for book 6 because I've got the whole series in paperback. And the paperbacks and hardbacks in this series do not match at all. Like, why have a very black paperback and a very white hardback? They don't match. They don't match at all. I do need to read book 5, I guess, when that paperback comes out, and book 6. And then I'll be up to date, hopefully, in 2024. Again, all this series that will be finished next year, hopefully. I am in the middle of reading the Law Olympus series. I've read the first 3 books in this series. I think there are 5 out now, and I don't know how many there are going to be. I don't know. I have no idea how many there are going to be, but I'm not up to date because I definitely have a couple of volumes that I have not read. I have the Murderbot series by Martha Wells. So I read the first one very distinctly. The second one and the third one, I think I read with like a lot of jet lag. So maybe I need to like go back and reread them. Although I feel as though I've already reread them because I was definitely going like backwards and forwards in those books with the jet lag. And so I don't know what I've listened to and what I've not listened to, but I am in the middle of this. I think I would like to keep going with it. It's been a little while since I've like looked at this series, but I think I would like to actually read it with like some dedicated focus, and then I think I would actually get a lot more out of it than the way that I read them with the jet lag. The series in that same vein where I've not really like kept up to date with it or like had it in the forefront of my mind, and I don't quite know if I'd really count it, is the Brutal Birthright series by Sophie Lark. It's a mafia romance. There are 6 books in it. And I read the first one like last summer, and in theory I would like to continue with it, but it's just not a priority. In theory I would like to read more books by Sophie Lark, but they're just never a priority because I don't read that much like romance. I guess I'm in the middle of it, but I also don't feel strongly that I am. Like I don't feel like I'm in the middle of it in the same way that I'm in the middle of like any of these other books, any of these big like epic fantasy series where I feel as though I have to keep reading them in a relatively good time span because I could forget plot details. I don't feel like I'm going to forget plot details in a mafia romance. Next, I have the Store My Archive, where I have read the first 3.5 books, and I have the 4th book to read. So I did read Dawnshard this year, which is the novella. That's why I say 3.5. But I do need to read Rhythm of War, and then which is the 4th book, and then I will be up to date for the 5th book coming out next November, December. So that is the plan, that I will get up to date ahead of that 5th book, and then I can be up to date on this series. And I know that's like a concluding arc in the Store My Archive. It just hasn't felt right to read Rhythm of War this year. I don't know. I've had a very trying year, and I just haven't been in the headspace to read something so long. I need to get to Rhythm of War. I know I need to. I feel like it's going to be maybe in the like later spring. I feel like the winter's going to be too busy, but maybe later spring I will read Rhythm of War. Don't hold me to that. Hold me to it that I'm going to read it before the 5th book comes out, but don't hold me to when I'm going to do it. But I'll do it. And then I have a few series which I need to restart from the beginning, that they are ongoing, but I want to like get back to the very beginning of them before I continue with them. So I do have a few of those, but I guess I've been like holding off a bit with these ones in getting up to date with them because I'm waiting for the final book to come out, and then I will start my reread. I feel as though if I start rereading them, I will then forget details by the time the final book comes out, and then it's just like I've reread and then I'm gonna have to reread again. So the first of that being the Ninth House series by Leigh Bardugo. The second book, Hellbent, came out this year. I think it's going to be a trilogy now. I know originally it was planned to be a much longer series. I think it's now a trilogy. So I just need to wait for news on that 3rd book, and then I will start rereading this series. I'm also really sad that they didn't do an edition like this for Hellbent, and that's one of the reasons why I didn't buy it as well, because I'm a bit salty about the editions that they did. Like, where was the nice like white into red or whatever edition? Where is it? I then have the Witchland series by Susan Dennard. I've been reading this series for literal years. I read this in 2016, 17. So literal years. And I loved this. And I've read the first, how many books? Oh, I can't see. 3.5. I think I've read the first 3.5 books in this series. I own the 4th book, and the 5th and final book I think might be coming out next year. It's been a very long time. So I think we had quite a gap between books 3 and 4. And then we've had quite a big gap again between 4 and 5. And so when book 4 came out, I was like, I'm just going to wait. Because I know I want to reread, and it's been so long. I think Susan Dennard has been writing it. I think she's got quite a lot of words written in it now. So I do believe it's coming out next year. I think, fingers crossed. And then I can start my like reread of this series. Another one where I read it a very long time ago, and I've been putting off doing my reread because I know that there are still multiple books in this series that need to come out. And I don't know when they're coming out. And that is the Bone Season series. So I read the Bone Season in 2013. 2014, I think it was, 2014 or 15. So coming up to 10 years ago, I read The Bone Season and The Mime Order, and then I never read the rest. Books 3 and 4 came out. I haven't read them because I was like, I need to reread from the beginning, and then I feel as though I know this is going to be a 7-book series and we're still waiting for 3 more books, so I have delayed. I am excited to read this new revised edition, and that's what I'm going to read when I do my reread, and I love these editions. Very, very pretty, but I don't know when I'm going to do it because I would like more of the books to be out before I start rereading this series. And then one that I anticipate I will be rereading very shortly to continue with is The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. The 3rd and final book comes out in January, so I do need to reread this, read the second one, and then get to that one, and I think this will be done in 2024. Easy peasy, it's just 1 book to reread, and then everything's fresh after that. So one that will be finished very, very shortly. That is the series that I am in the middle of. I'm not going to pick those ones up because there's a lot of them, and I don't know. I don't think I want to do that. But here they are. Imagine yeah. So I have 15 series that are ongoing where it is my fault that they are not finished or up to date, because quite a few of these series aren't finished, so I just need to get them up to date. 15 of those, and actually only 4 of them I started in 2023, so quite a few of these I was either up to date on last year or they were in the same place last year. Especially some of these rereads, like The Bone Season has been in my like ongoing series list for a very long time because I have been refusing to do my rereads. Not that many new ones. In total, wrapping this all up, for my up-to-date series and my ongoing series, so the series that I am in the middle of, whether it's my fault or not, I have 24 series, which I thought as the number, I was like, that's okay, and it's pretty the same as last year. It's pretty much in the same place, identically as last year. I was in the lower 20s last year as well. I feel like that is roughly in a good place. I feel like that is a good place for my series to be. I mean, I'd like to get it lower, but I don't feel like that is realistic to who I am as a reader. That I anticipate I will clear out quite a few of these as we move into 2024 and their finales come out, that I think I could easily finish off quite a few of these next year, but then I'll be bringing in new ones. I will, although I guess I should aim to try and start some series that are finished and then just read them through. So 24 series that I'm in the middle of, and 8 of those were started in 2023. So 16 of them are repeats from last year. Whether they've changed position or not, they were in this sort of series, they were in the series mix last year. I know that 24 series, or 24 with Brutal Birthright, 23 without that one, which I sort of half don't count, is a really good place for some people. Some people's series ongoing list blows my mind, and I feel like looking at these series all around me is a little bit daunting, and I don't know how some people do it, but everyone has different stresses in their lives. I just like to keep things, I like to try and finish things off. And what's that phrase? I'm one of those personality types, I think it's like completer, finisher type things, that I like to start things and finish things and have things all sort of tidy. Let me know what your series list is looking like, and if you've done well with reading your series this year, or if you've started loads of series, which is also absolutely fine, and if you've read any of these and your thoughts on any of them. And yeah, let's see which series I decide to start in 2024, because there are definitely series that I have on my TBR that are calling to me that I would like to start. Thank you so much for watching, if you've made it this far in this longer video, and I will see you in my future videos. Bye!